If I'm honest, I have been running from this day for a long time. I've been hiding from putting my face out there, saying things that I know will be wrong. I'll sound stupid at times. Um, and I know it's going to have my name on it. And but today I'm going to stop being afraid. I'm going to start creating videos and putting myself out there because I've spent far too long doing this in the dark, spending all my time watching people talk about things, and I want to join the conversation. So the question is, what is the conversation? What am I wanting to join? 11 years ago now, I wrote my first blog that I put out into the public sphere that nobody read, of course, because that's where most blogs go to die. But it was something I wrote as I was entering into a journey that I was very sure at the time that it was a life-changing journey for me. And I wanted to start to say and track my journey somewhere. And I chose blogging at the time, the platform Medium, which I still do to this day, to do it. And my first blog was called Why Blog at All? I was starting to study theology and philosophy. I was a lifelong Christian, and I had come across the world of apologetics. And that was something that I didn't know existed in the past. I was born and raised in a fundamentalist-ish sort of environment where young earth creationism and the Bible as literal rigid history was just part and parcel of my youth and how I was raised. And yeah, so that was the context of how I was raised. And it wasn't until I was about 26 years old that maybe 25, 26 years old, I'm 39 now, where I started to discover that there were Christians who were really intellectual that also didn't think the earth was 6,000 years old, that also didn't think that the universe was 6,000 years old, that also didn't think that dinosaurs were on Noah's Ark. All of these things that I was taught and trained my whole life. There was a myriad of other things, of course. Those are just the ones that pop up in my head right now. There were a myriad of other things as well that were taught to me by the smart people that I was raised around, because they weren't stupid people by any stretch, nowhere near, but just a certain way of seeing Christianity. So yeah, when I discovered that there were other Christians that were okay with thinking these different things about the universe, about certain theological subjects that were kind of no-fly zones in the world that I grew up with, that got my attention. It got me really excited. And I started consuming a bunch of content, reading a lot of books, watching a lot of YouTube debates. And this is 2013, 2014, 2012 actually. Again, a lifetime of Christianity, a lifetime of Christian education that preceded that. But where the conversations around some of the subjects that I've raised and a lot of others were, like I mentioned, no-fly zones. They were areas that introduced doubt, and doubt was a problem. It was something that people did in the world, but something that a good, faithful Christian didn't do. So when you heard millions of years, for example, you heard that through the lens of those are people who reject God and reject his word. So you don't want to be one of those people. You want to be the sort of people that accept God's word for what it obviously says. And I wanted to be one of those people, because who wants to go against God, right? It's not a good idea. It doesn't seem like a good idea. But anyway, as I learned that there were other sorts of Christians out there who could kind of have their cake and eat it too, it seemed like, which I suppose that those were the compromisers that I was told about. It just didn't seem like they were compromisers, though. It seemed like they were really intellectually honest, and that sparked something in me that caused me to want to participate in that. So I stopped a career in freelancing and in technology and design to to pursue that world because it felt like it had more meaning. I wanted other people to know about this world that apparently existed that I just didn't really ever hear about, even though I was in Christianity my whole life. I mean, professional Christians in my family, left and right. And so yeah, I went back to school and I wanted to study, and I was studying. And at the time when this blog that I was mentioning was released, it was the intent of that blog was to put my heart out there, is to really answer the question, because it feels kind of, when you think about it, it feels a little bit audacious to blog. That's why it's taken me so long to even make this video, is because it feels audacious to put a video out there, like as if I have anything to say that matters. Again, the blog titled "Why Blog at All?" This video could be like, "Why make a video at all?" That question literally has paralyzed me for a decade plus. And in that blog, I basically, it was a plea to validate why I would be blogging, as in, I think there's a truth out there, and I think it's worth having the conversation, but I want to pursue it honestly and openly, and that's how I want to go forward. And at the time, there was a bit of an apologist under the hood, a developing apologist, who was not disingenuous at that time, but kind of setting it up a little bit, like a little bit of a setup of saying like, hey, I want to have an honest conversation, but ultimately I know where we're going here, because I kind of have it figured out. I don't believe I was maybe as bad off in being certain as most, but I was pretty sure. And I thought that eventually we would get to basically what I was thinking and what I was going to be a defender of. I just needed to learn how to be a professional defender of it, which is what I was doing. I was going into study, but that's kind of the nugget, I think, that I want to start off these videos with. Is even then, if you go back and read that blog, and I'll put a link in the description, I think that you can see my intent. My intent was, I wanted to approach this study, this endeavor that I was about to go on as somebody in my late 20s at the time. I wanted to approach it honestly. I wanted to be open to the truth, wherever that would lead. But what I really wanted to do was to have the conversation. I didn't want to be on the sidelines anymore. I didn't want to just be a viewer of the conversation. I wanted to be a participant somehow. And I obviously didn't know what that looked like. And I knew I had a lot to learn, a lot to study. And I, to this day, know that I have a lot to learn and a lot to study. But I'm further down that road than I was in 2014, that's for sure. And gosh, have things changed in my head in that amount of time. And they're continuing to change. The ground underneath my feet is shifting, what feels almost daily. The existential angst that I feel quite often is real. And I wonder, I don't think I'm the only one I know I'm not. I know I'm not the only one. I watch plenty of people who have gone through these processes. And again, I no longer want to be stuck on the sidelines. I want to be in the game. And it's not the game to necessarily win. It's not a competitive game that I want to play. It's a game of discovery and searching, and I want to do that. I want to have conversations with people that I've been watching for years. I want to ask them questions, and I want there to be honest dialogue, and I want to talk through subjects and things that I'm thinking about, things that I'm considering. I want to hear how people interact with maybe some of the ideas that I've gone through, where people think I've gone wrong, which I imagine there's 1,000 places every day that I'm going wrong in my thoughts. I don't want to do this behind closed doors anymore, and or only behind the veil of a blog. I think I deeply respect the written word. It is something that I will never want to give up, because it allows you to shape your thoughts in a more refined way. As you can tell right now, Part of the reason why I haven't made these videos is because it drives me nuts how disconnected my thoughts are. I need to get better, which I will try to do in the future, at structuring these videos in a way that makes it easy for you, the viewer, to know what you're getting. But in conversing with ChatGPT about what it is that I want out of life, what it is that where I feel like I'm failing, where I feel like I need to improve. One of the things that I've discovered is this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I just haven't done it in this way because I'm afraid of it. And I wanted the first video, it actually suggested, to be honest, the machine suggested this, and I'm taking it up on its suggestion, that I accept the fact that it's going to be imperfect. I accept the fact that it's going to be raw, and I'm not going to go crazy with the edits. You'll see some jump cuts, I'm sure, but I'm not going to go crazy with editing to try to polish it. Again, that's part of my world. I'm not the best editor and or designer in the world, but you'll see in the history of this channel, because this channel was christiananswers.ai, and it's transforming now just into my personal channel. You'll see, like, I dabble. I've had a career in graphic arts and identity design, in product design, visual product design or software product design. So I want things to look good. That's one of my things. I want things to be tight and neat, and I don't have the time, to be honest. I have a wife that I love and 3 kids that take up all my time, and I'm shifting careers because the world technologically is shifting beneath our feet, just like my existential life is shifting beneath my feet. And it's been an excuse. It's been a crutch to not put this stuff out there. I just need to suck it up and accept imperfection. Because in the day and age of machines and language models and artificial intelligence, we're going to get closer and closer to quote unquote perfection. The machines are going to do it. And kind of what's left at some level for us as humans is to find the raw, real, genuine sides of each other in the journeys that we're all going on. I want my kids to be able to see this someday when they're ready. Watch my journey, watch me participate in these dialogues, because I want them to learn from it. Learn that dad has got ideas, but dad could also be wrong. But dad's going to try to be wrong in a very healthy way. Dad's going to change his views when the evidence or whatever system of knowledge that can help adjudicate questions of what's true and false are decided. The channels out there that I appreciate the most are the ones that are having the truest, most honest conversations. The posturing is low or non-existent. You can truly feel in the conversation. One channel that pops in my mind is Theories of Everything. I really appreciate that channel and what it represents as far as a low production, even though it's had a lot of success. The production remains at a modest level, and you really get the sense when you sit there for 1, 2, 3 hours watching a video or listening to a podcast, you get the sense that what matters is the genuine discourse or the genuine pursuit of what's true. And if I have the chance to have conversations with people who are experts in their field, I hope to do the same. I hope to bring that to the table, because that's really all I'm after. I would like to know more about why people think XYZ thing is true. I would like to test ideas or intuitions that I have against others' intuitions and arguments and all that sort of stuff. And I want to do it from a point of humility and a point of learning, because the good God, if I've learned anything in 10 years, it's that I don't know much. And that's it. In one sense, frightening, in another sense, exciting. I think I more emotionally feel the frightening part of it right now. But I'd like maybe for this channel and these videos, these conversations, whatever it turns out to be, to help maybe transform me in the act of doing it, and to be more excited about the process rather than scared. So I hope that if any of this is connected to you, if there's a part of you that goes like, I have no clue who this guy is, but I would like to hear more, subscribe, like this video. Obviously, YouTube serves things out to people that it thinks other people want to watch, and that's the way it can tell whether or not people enjoyed and or are interested. And yeah, no pressure to do that. Just only do it if you think it's actually useful. Only do it if you think that YouTube and or the world just needs more people that are trying to do this, even though it feels silly to do it. And yeah, I appreciate you spending the time to watch and listen, and I hope to see you in the comments. Hope to interact, and maybe some of the first conversations that I have is with some of you who have ideas and intuitions and want to talk too. So yeah, thanks.